Welcome to Let's Talk Money Honey, the podcast where we break down the world of investing and wealth building for women who are ready to control their financial futures. We're your hosts, Elise Levy of Legacy Wealth Planning
and Holly Henry of Diamond Legacy Wealth Management. We're two financial advisors on a mission to empower and educate women so they can build confidence, work towards growing their wealth, and pursue their biggest investment goals. Investing isn't just for Wall Street, it's for you. Whether you're just getting started or looking to level up your portfolio, we're here to make investing approachable, fun, and totally doable. So grab your coffee
or your wine and let's talk money, honey. All right, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Money, Honey, the podcast where we talk about everything financial. And today we have a great topic. We're going to be talking about high income, low net worth. So Holly, what does that mean?
Okay, so I'm going to say first off, I think this is one of our favorite topics, and it's because we meet a lot with prospective clients or clients that they are bringing in just a lot of money, especially young adults that are making a couple $100,000 a year, whatever that may be, and yet they don't know where their money's going. And so mainly that's what this is okay, you've got a great job. We want to pat you on the back, but you're not retaining any money. So it's kind of, just say it, maybe bluntly, pointless.
Or just like not intentional.
Yes, absolutely. But we will say that this is just a really common problem. And I always tell people, I have people that come in here that have had jobs that are 30, 40, 50,000, and they just save for their entire lives, and they have like an amazing nest egg. And they know how to manage that money. It's honestly not about how much money you make. It's about how you manage it.
Absolutely. And I think what maybe people don't realize that have these high incomes, and this could be in your 30s or in your 60s, it doesn't really matter, but your wealth is tied to your income. So you need that job to maintain the lifestyle that you're currently living. And that's the real risk. So if you lose this high paying job, where are you at now? Because you were so reliant on that income and were spending every single month and using it all up, you become super reliant on it. And you don't have a lot of freedom when it comes to thinking about working part-time, leaving the job, moving into nonprofit, whatever it is. You actually have really limited freedom if you look at it that way. So maybe you have a lot of money to spend, but your choices are pretty limited of how you spend your time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that just causes a lot of stress. It causes a lot of anxiety, and, especially if you are working very, very hard at a high demanding job, you want to be able to look at in the future and be like, what if I want to retire young? There's got to be some rewards to that. And I would say that how this happens is that we call them the silent drains, things that you just don't think about. And this is something that I know that I'm guilty of, but it's going to be like the subscriptions you forget about, like whether that's a gym membership, whether that's several Roku subscriptions, whatever this may be, that's just going to automatically hit your account. And it's so, especially with gym memberships, they're like, we're going to be nice and give you a discount, and we're going to just take it out of your bank account every month. And it's just because it's easy to forget. And I can say personally that with my gym membership, it probably took me a few months to just go and cancel it just because of the hassle of going. So we always tell you, like, check your subscriptions. Make sure you're investing properly into your retirement account. And so many people, they're trying to keep up with the lifestyle. That's what they're cutting, is their investing.
Yeah, 100%. And exactly what you said, it's like the silent drain. And I know everyone knows this term, but I have to say it anyways. The lifestyle creep is a real one. And, I think a house is a really good example, because you buy your starter home, and then all of a sudden that you get a better job, you're making all this money, and you're like, well, that bigger home, that nicer home, that's really calling to me, and we can have people over and we can do all this stuff. But there's so many hidden costs that go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I always joke with my husband, I'm like, well, if we get a bigger house, there's just more for me to clean.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But even property taxes, maintaining the bigger house, like all those costs go up as the expenses go up too. And there's a lot of hidden costs that go along with that. So just thinking about that, and I know we sound repetitive like TikTok influencers, lifestyle creep, but it really is a real thing. And even when I look at myself, I can see how it's happened to me over the past 10 years.
Yeah, and I'm going to sound very like Dave Ramsey, and I don't mean to, but one of the biggest signs, I think more so than a home, because like it's hard to pack up a home and move, like that's a real commitment, but it's a really easy to go trade in a vehicle and buy an expensive one. And so you see people, as soon as they get the great job too, they're going to go and buy a new vehicle. And I always tell people, it's not about just the payment. You got to remember that those tires are expensive. The maintenance isn't expensive. Don't get me started on insurance right now. Like it isn't that your payment is going up. Everything about it is going to go up.
Exactly.
And that's where I feel like people get in trouble, is when you've got not just one vehicle payment. If you're married, you've got 2 vehicle payments, and before
maybe
you know it,
3.
Yes, especially if you have a teenager in there, and it's like before you know it, you have no money for anything because it's just kind of snuck up on you. And I'm just going to be honest, I sit back in the car rental line. I pick up my kiddos every day from school. And I just want to go and tap on vehicles and be like, what do you do for a living? Like, I know it's super judgmental, but it's also the truth, because I'm like, goodness, SUVs are expensive. And I will also say that, like, I had to buy my last vehicle. Finally hit 200,000 miles. I'm like, it's time. I'm going to break down on the side of the road. And I'm not against people having good vehicles. But what I am against is if you can't pay your bills, if you can't invest, a vehicle's from point A to point B. Like scale back some. And I did have to give myself a budget, because it is so easy, especially with SUVs. And I think my kids can have all this space, and look at, I could be that SUV mom if I let me. And I ended up being a very small SUV because of the gas mileage. And in the end, I'm cheap. But anyways, okay. Elise, you might want to take it over from
Okay. But I think like what we're really hitting on is when you're thinking about taking on expenses, there's a lot of hidden costs. And so just knowing those, being aware of those, and it isn't just the car payment that comes along with it. There's a lot of other costs that are associated that we tend to forget. And so I think that brings up a great point of a lot of us just get in this track of mindless spending. And a big thing we talk about on our podcast is just like being aware of what you're actually doing financially puts you so ahead of everybody else in the population. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about this a lot, but I think tracking your net worth is such a good place to start, because not everybody wants to look at their monthly budget and follow it toe to toe every single day, and that can provide more anxiety, and we're not trying to do that, but you need some way of being accountable to you yourself, beyond just working with a financial advisor, which is amazing, and we would also walk you through this. But tracking your net worth, you have your assets minus liabilities, and that equals your net worth. And it helps you keep track of everything. Honestly, just like listing out all your accounts, listing out your vehicles, listing out your properties. It helps you keep track of where everything is. And it helps you stay organized, which is such a great skill when it comes to managing your finances. And there's no real downside, right, Holly?
No, and I think the main thing is when you start doing this, it kind of provides you with a quick audit of where your money is going.
Mhm.
And that's really the key. And I'll tell you, like, I got towards the end of the year, I was not auditing my money the way that I should have. So I will sit here and tell you that I'm guilty of some of the stuff that I tell you
Oh
to
yeah.
do. It's like we want you to do this, but it's like we get that life happens. And then I started doing my taxes and realized my vehicle insurance went up almost $500 every 6 months. And I did not have any idea because I just paid the bill and went on.
Mhm.
And so I get that life happens, but we really have to be more intentional. And so for me, it's like I just have had to set aside time. And I get that Elise and I are in front of money all the time. And this is why it's probably top of brain for us. And again, we're not against anyone having a beautiful home or the nice SUV. I am jealous of the ones that can afford it, and good for them. What we just want you to do is if you've got those splurges, let's make sure that you're putting money back for investing somehow, especially for retirement. That's the main thing.
Absolutely. And I think like the term that people use, and I wanted to clarify it because it kind of sounds, I don't know, it sounds counterintuitive, but paying yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
And when I hear that, it's like, oh, I'm paying myself so I can go buy things. That's not what it means. So paying yourself first means you've set up either monthly contributions or however you do it to go into your investment accounts and your retirement accounts first. So you never get the chance to spend that money. And it's the best way to do it because if it's not in your bank account, it's a lot harder for you to spend and you don't really miss it.
100%.
So, Holly, where should they be investing or putting money aside? Like, what are the buckets that we want them to start building?
Okay, so first off, I would say retirement, whether that's through your employer, whether that's if you're self-employed through something like an IRA, whatever that may be, but we have to plan for the future. We also got to make sure that investing sometimes may be that you're just starting with a savings account and you're doing your emergency fund. Like we got to just step one, emergency fund. And I read the other day, and I don't want to exactly quote the statistic, but I want to say it was like 50 to 60% of Americans don't even have emergency funds. So like step one, let's just make sure you're there. And then it's like, but in the meantime, we've got to plan for retirement. And I think that that's something that so many people come in their 50s and they're like, let's plan for retirement. And it's like, I'm sorry, that ship's almost sailed. Like it's going to be so much harder at that age. You're facing a lot larger mountains. So if you can do this in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s, like go ahead and gradually do that. And I think one thing that I will say to all those sports moms out there, because traveling sports is expensive. And like we all know it, and we all have our splurges, but I've had so many people tell me that they put their retirement aside so that they can pay for their kids' sports.
Oh, wow.
And I just want to be like, and again, I don't mean to judge, but it's like chances are when you're in a situation at retirement and your kids are grown, they would much rather their parents be taken care of and have a good retirement than to know that they are struggling financially so they could just play sports. I feel like we as a society, there's some things that we have to tweak. And I'm not against traveling sports. My kids are in it. But it's like you have to set priorities. You have to figure out where you're going to sacrifice somewhere. And I think that that's the key. Is like we have to figure out where we're going to cut back. If that's not going to be the vehicle, is it going to be the traveling sports? Or is it going to be the vacations? It's like you just see people, especially with high income net worth, it's like they're just going on every single direction all the time. There's no cutback to it.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, it's like if they maybe had started earlier, they wouldn't feel such a financial drain now. And so that's like one of the things Holly brought up is, the first thing we're talking about is your emergency fund. Another thing young people come in with is debt, right? You have maybe student debt, or maybe you have a car payment, etc. And everyone, I love this question, is like, well, should I pay off all my debt first or start investing first? Both. You should do both.
Yes.
And if you're coming to me and you're saying, well, I feel like, I want to pay off my debt, but I also want to participate in my 401k, what should I start at? Start at 2%. If that's all you can do, start really small. No one's going to judge you. It's better to start small and gradually increase that than do zero.
Yes.
And like anything is better than zero. I can't say that enough. And the people who start at 2% at 22 and work their way up over time, they're in a better spot than the people that start at 30 and are like, okay, now I can finally do 7%. You're always playing catch up. So little amounts are okay. If you can only fund your Roth with $25 a month, do it.
Well, 100%. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's ever really just an easy time to plan for retirement, because in your 20s, you're broke for the most part. And then it's like, then you're going to buy a home and have a family when you get money. So it's like, that's gone. Anybody with kids can sit there and tell you that it's like a never ending, like just handing out money, I feel like. And so people tell me that they're going to wait till their kids are grown so they can afford it. But it's like, then there's college and grandkids, and then you may be sick and not have the, it's like, there's not a good time to make this part of the budget. But I do think retirement planning, of course, is a bucket that we definitely are going to encourage everyone to. And for those of you that just want to start kind of knocking it out of the park, invest in a non-retirement account. And this is, okay, you've already done well and you feel like you're at a good place in your retirement accounts, but you're making enough money that you could do more and you want to do more. I mean, this is the thing, like we want to push people to the next level for those that are wanting to. And I feel like a non-retirement account, for a lot of people, they're not even aware that it exists.
Absolutely. And exactly what you're saying, this taxable non-retirement account is a great place to save, because like when the going's good, save it. Like if you have a lot of extra money one year because you did really well and got a bonus or whatever, invest those funds, because we all know that there are moments in life that are unplanned. And so, if you're in a really great track and you have all this extra income you could be investing, do it, because who knows, 5 years from now, your spouse could have a medical emergency and need to take time off from work. You don't know what the future holds, good or bad. So when you have the opportunity to be aggressively investing and saving, it's really important to do so. I just want to clarify a little bit. A non-retirement account is different than a retirement account because you can access it at any time. You can put as much money into it as you want. There's no annual limits, but the difference is taxation. So any money that goes in, if it grows, the amount it grows by, you're taxed at your capital gains rate, which is dependent on your income level. I just wanted to make sure that was known.
Yes, and I do think that it's good that you mentioned like the retirement account. Sometimes there can be strings attached, like you can't access the money till 59 and a half. And so these non-retirement accounts, if you're looking at maybe wanting to retire before then, it can be extra pots of money that can be used for other things, especially if we're facing disability, horrible health diagnosis, whatever that can be. It's always just good to have that. And especially, I just want to say there has been so many 20-year-olds coming to me and they're making over $100,000 a year and they don't know what to do. And their first inclination is like, we're just going to spend it. And that's, if I was in my 20s making really good money, that probably would have been me too. But it's like you can really set yourself up for a very successful financial future if you just start investing.
Absolutely. And like always, like we said earlier, it's like do it now when you're 20 and you have no one to take care of, and you have no extra costs. Like take advantage of those moments because they fly by.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Okay, Elise, did we miss anything?
I don't think so. I think that was a great episode, though, and it applies to so many people that we meet every day. So if you have any additional questions specific to your situation, reach out to us. We're happy to answer. This is very much general knowledge, but you should always make sure it's appropriate for you and your specific situation.
Yes. Thank you so much for watching, and check out our other videos. And then do not forget that we also have a monthly newsletter. So if you're interested in that, please send us a DM with your email. We'll gladly get you signed up.